left,
Hey,
right.
before you start, I just want to say this is a really interesting episode for me. Kind of a hot point. I listened to something on the radio and it just got a gun in my head. But before you watch, I want to let you know I did do my homework after the episode of SipTalk, and I'll share that with you a little bit later. But for now, just hear me out. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, like, comment, give me your opinion. I would really like to hear that. And remember, we're a new podcast, so we need all the subscriptions, all the likes, and all the comments we can get. So if you don't mind, I would really appreciate that. All right, enjoy. This is Sip Talk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Across this film.
Cheers.
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 What are we talking about? We got any ideas? Are we?
Well, I had a couple of things that hit me. I've been listening to the news a little bit more lately. I don't want to get into anything too serious, but first off, we need some drinks. So I'm going to ask for a drink out of the freezer. I know you need a refill over there. Would you mind grabbing me a drink from the refrigerator?
Oh my goodness.
Here, just give me one of these and use your other hand. Yeah. All right. So welcome to Sip Talk. Welcome to Sip Talk episode 24. Sip Talk episode 24. Andres has got a handle of doers over here. Top one. And I pre-mixed a drink and stuck it in the freezer.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking. That's the one right there.
Are you? That's so tiny.
This is pure alcohol over here. I'm gonna pass this one back to you. And so I pre-made a Negroni and stuck it in the freezer this afternoon. So I've got a pretty serious iced drink that I've really been looking forward to making. What do you got on your end?
I am sticking with some polar seltzer water because I need to get a run or some kind of exercise in late night. And if I have drinks or have actual alcohol, then no exercise is going to happen.
No, you're breaking a cardinal rule. It's not good, man.
Well, if need be, I can put a little bit of alcohol in here, but
I
haven't been able to do any exercise Monday. And we're supposed to get a tropical storm over the weekend.
down there, down in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the rower when I go home. I told you how I injured my foot, and it's been a really, really frustrating fucking thing to not be able to run. And I think I'm gonna try to go for a run and see if it doesn't get too bad.
But it hasn't even healed and you want to keep running. The doctor is literally telling you have to take 6 months off and it hasn't even been 3. That's the reason why you don't heal. And then you complain about it because you can't run because your foot hasn't healed. And as soon as you feel good, you're like, I'm ready to run.
Sure.
Road runner over here.
Sure. I may go and get a cortisone shot, but I don't think that's a really great fix. It'll allow me to use it a little bit. The pain won't be as bad, but I could really do some damage. So that's my fear.
I think the best thing to do is go for a run, and as soon as it doesn't feel good, stop.
Yeah, but the issue is it actually feels fine during the run. It gets nice and loose, and then afterwards it tightens up. The tendons, ligaments under the fascia in my foot tighten up, and it gets really, really, really painful. And last time it got so bad for a couple of weeks, when I was stepping, I was rolling my ankle. And my ankle got really, really bad from just the way I was walking. So I can't not run. It's driving me nuts. I think like the pressure is off in my head because what are you drinking over there?
A Mexican toddy.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing.
It is now.
This has got hot chocolate in there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I usually just tough it out, but this has been excruciating in duration. Just really, really bad. But what I was talking about earlier when I told you I was listening to the news lately. I heard yesterday there was a story about how professional athletes, Olympians were committing suicide, and that's a terrible thing. And what they were going on to say was, there's a sob story about this woman who she was working at a gym, obviously wasn't doing great. And she was watching her place like silver in the Olympics on the TV in the gym, and it was a really bad time in her life. Then another person starts speaking, and he goes, if even if you get silver, it's not important, and if you don't medal, nobody even knows your name, and it's really, really difficult to deal with. So, and people were, I guess there's been a couple of suicidal deaths, but that just really, where are we going with this one? Are we going to say that now we can't have medals at the Olympics?
No,
Because
I don't think that's the point that they're trying to make in the story.
Well, yeah, but where are we going with this story? People. I understand if you're a gold medalist or even a silver medalist, if you want to define a portion of your life by that. But if you're bronze or you don't place, and you leave in defeat, and you want to define your life by this defeat, I think there's other things to go mow somebody's lawn and define yourself as a landscaper.
No, but for that,
But just do something else. It's not your thing.
That thing is happening because there's a lot of places, especially here in the U.S., where they will you don't end up in first, second, or third. You end up either on fifth or sixth, and they're all like, "Oh, there's a medal for you."
Well, yeah, but you're talking about participants. But they're not talking about participants.
But it creates that mentality into you that if this is not like from when I was a kid, they always reward my participation. And now that I worked so hard, there's somebody that did like a second earlier than
Well,
I
maybe
did.
that's what's happening is this generation of participation trophy earners are not placing, and they're defining themselves based off of these losses. But to go as far as committing suicide because you didn't place or you didn't get a gold medal, I think is like, we got some really just kind of like wild shit going on, that people are committing suicide because they didn't get first place.
I don't think that that's the point that you should take away from the story.
So
Because anybody that's made it to the Olympics has been training their entire life, and there's been plenty of competitions and events that they've participated in that they did not get first, second, or third. So they know that within competition is going to be some form of loss and disappointment. So I think what you're seeing is, first of all, it's been 4 years since the last Olympics, and the Olympics aren't even happening this year. So a lot of times for certain events, mostly like the pure athletics events, so a lot of the track and field ones are, you structure your training around peaking at a certain time.
Of course.
And you can't hold a certain level of condition for more than maybe 2 or 3 weeks, a month.
Well, I mean, with intense conditioning, you could die, starvation or whatever it is. I know with bodybuilding, like you got to really diet down. I understand that. But so where are you going with it?
Well, so you go through these cycles where you train really, really hard to peak for a short period of time, and you try and time those around when the big competitions are. And then you have ups and downs with your training. But now with coronavirus and everything, they had been training really, really hard with the idea that the Olympics would be happening pretty much right now. Yeah. Like midsummer.
Yeah.
Late summer. And so it's not happening right now. It's been pushed back for a year. And so when spent the last 3.5 or 4 years training with one goal in mind.
So now you're going to kill yourself?
You have to understand the level of focus that these people have. They wake up every single day at 5 a.m. and they train. They don't do anything else. All they're doing is training for this one event that they want to make it to the Olympics.
Okay, but now here's what I'm getting at, is where do we go from here? Do we say, hey guys, there's been a lot of deaths, so you probably shouldn't try as hard? Or, like what do you implement? A mental health system based on Olympic athletes? a general
I'm
population.
not saying
I'm just curious where do they want to take this story? They're bringing it to our awareness. They're not bringing any solution. In my head, I said, I don't really think there's a solution except better educated people and better parenting. Like, it starts as like a societal thing, but what's the solution on this one? And I got really frustrated.
there is no solution.
There is no solution.
It's sometimes just unfortunate things happen, and there are more levels of risk in certain behaviors than others. And for these Olympians that have really set their entire lives and their entire identities around this one thing that they happen to be very good at, and when that gets taken away, sometimes that can be very difficult for them to deal with mentally. And I don't know if there's a solution to it, because that single-minded focus is what gets them to the level of performance that puts them in the Olympics. And so if you take that away, then they're not an Olympian anymore. They're just a highly skilled athlete, but not elite. So I think this is just kind of highlighting, if you want to be an Olympian, if you want to be an elite level athlete, this is the level of focus that's required of you. And for some people, putting that much effort and focus into something is going to potentially break you.
But imagine we do have the Olympics, and there's a lot more than 3 people that participate in every event. So the vast majority of them are not placing, and they're actually losing. Whereas if the Olympics don't happen, you didn't lose. Is it worse to lose? Is it worse to come in 4th place? Or, I remember our wrestling coach in high school told us he was 4th place in the 1984 Olympics. I don't think this is a true statement, and this is kind of...
He didn't tell a lot of true statements.
He didn't tell a lot of true statements, but I also think this is pretty really the internet the way it is now, thinking that nobody would be able to, figure out who the 4th place person was in the 84, wrestling in the Olympics. But
this is a testable hypothesis.
I mean, we could check now, but I think I have checked in the past. Because actually the data is probably there now of who that fourth place Greco-Roman style, whatever type of wrestling it was. But but the Olympics thing just got me people committing suicide because they're not placing or they're not 1st place. Well, I don't know the specifics of it, but it was just suicide related to athletes.
Yeah, I understand what James
And it was associated with the non-winning athletes.
Exactly. The thing is that, for example, if you want to be that class of athlete, that type of God level athlete, you cannot focus yourself on having a second job or doing something else on the side, because you need to put all that effort and time and skills into that specific sport. Like, for example, swimming. We have Michael Phelps, which is the greatest.
There was a statement from him as well.
And the reason that he became the person that who he is now is because he actually had backup from her parents. Like, if something bad happened with him, he'll have somewhere to fall. Unlike these other people that are like, this is my only goal and this is the only thing that I have. And if I fail at it, then I will lose everything, because you will lose not only, it's not about just the medals, you will lose the sponsorships. Nobody, Nike doesn't want to sponsor 4th place, 5th place, 6th place. They want to sponsor the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. You have Nike,
of course.
Adidas.
Not even 3rd, though.
Yeah,
They don't,
you
they
have
really
all
want
of these
1st
companies
place.
that are investing money into you, because now you become mentorship. You become this powerful machine of making money.
Endorsements is the word you're looking for.
Exactly, endorsements and all of these things. So if you happen to lose or come on 4th, 5th, 6th place, which for us will be great, amazing, but then it's nothing.
So here's a soundbite from the documentary Way to Gold. This is what I was listening to 2 days ago in the morning. Stephen Holcomb is speaking. He said, Jarrett Peterson killed himself about the time I was writing my book, and that's what triggered. It was kind of like, this is big. This is an epidemic. It's not just him. There are a lot of people out there suffering through this. This film drops a new tragedy. Holcomb himself was found dead in an Olympic Training Center in 2017 with sleeping pills and alcohol in his system. Skeleton racer Katie Uhlaender, Holcomb's best friend, discovered his body.
What's the name of the documentary?
The Weight of Gold, and they're really talking about attaining gold medals here, and I don't know. I was never a great athlete, so I ran well. I wrestled terribly, but it just wasn't that, for me. Just having good fitness and being in shape was something that I thought to be important. But I wouldn't have even if I was a winner. I mean, I guess at Olympic level maybe, but defining yourself as a gold medalist before you've medaled, I don't know. I've scored second place and just swung and missed enough times in my life, and I know better than that. I guess if I got a trophy, from kindergarten onwards for everything that I did, when it came time to get the big trophy, maybe I'd feel really bad if I got nothing. I don't know. But it just struck me as like, where are they going with this, and what's a possible solution?
I don't know if there's necessarily a solution here. I think you just need to look at it and say that when you do anything in life with such a singular focus, that's a risk that you take, is when that disappears, when that goes away, that you've got to you need to mentally prepare yourself for what you're going to be like in the absence of that thing.
I just caught the end of this article too, but they're not proposing a solution. They're just bringing it to light. They're bringing the documentary to light. The last line in the interview that I listened to it twice because I caught like the 6:30 and the 8:30 news before I went out the door. And he goes, one thing stands out here: no dark-skinned athletes are featured in the documentary in in-depth interviews, which now they're turning a whole nother angle on this whole story, and then that's the end of the article. So, I mean, for me, it was just kind of I don't know what they're trying to sell here, but it wasn't a solution, and it's just really frustrating to just listen to a news clip because usually when you hear the news, your brain starts spinning like, oh, how are we going to fix this? What are people going to do? How it's affecting society? What's the pushback going to be? And this was kind of like a nothing. It was like a flare that went up for nothing. There was no sinking ship. The sink didn't need saving. The ship didn't need saving. It was a save me flare for no reason.
I think really the goal of the documentary is just twofold, and I'm just reading an article like summarizing it up and giving a quick little review. But the first one is just to kind of show these Olympic athletes in a different light, because when you watch the Olympics, all you hear about is just their athletic abilities and maybe some of their training and maybe a little bit of backstory about their family or whatever. But I think the second point might be that mental health is an issue that runs kind of across it, that nobody's immune to problems with mental health, and that maybe we as a society need to be putting more resources towards providing help to the people that need it. And that's the solution. There's your solution right there. It's just increase the availability and decrease the stigma of seeking mental health treatment. Whatever you may have.
I also think we're not, now things are getting so much more pussified. Like, why are we telling people what we're going to do is rather than toughen up, we're going to provide you more help. Like, they started the Olympics. Everybody was fucking naked, wrestling around in the fucking dirt.
That's how the Olympics started.
Yeah, like that was a fucking Olympics.
And you also have to understand
you take
that,
your fucking clothes off. It's a dick
Yeah.
measuring competition first, and then you go and you fucking shove each other's face in the mud. Like that's how but now we got to talk mental health for the loser. Is to me it struck so many chords.
Survival of the fittest.
I'm still digesting the article, but it just hit me on so many different levels that I just heard it and I got pissed instantly. So sure, yeah, I guess like I said when I first brought it up, it is a mental health issue. What are are they saying we need They weren't saying we need mental health. And then they ended with there were no dark-skinned athletes. So where are you going with this? They just pivoted on that, and that was the end of the article. They didn't even talk about it. They just
have you watched the actual documentary, or are you getting
are you
sourcing?
We're talking about it now, and I'm so worked up about it. I'm gonna watch it. You know, like they that's their win. That's their win. They got one more viewer. But
you sounded like the kind of person that just reads the headlines and goes crazy like, this is the.
Well, that's exactly what he just did.
This
no,
is
I listened to the
I thought
article.
you actually watched.
I listened to the article twice.
I thought you actually watched
And-
the full.
I have not watched the whole documentary, but I listened. I
Is it on
listened to it
Netflix?
air. I don't. We'll have to check it out. Listened to it air twice, and it got pissed off the second time. And then I had a motorcycle ride to work, and my helmet battery was dead, so I couldn't hear anything except the thoughts just going over and over again in my head. And I just kept thinking back to the fact that the Olympics started out as a dick measuring competition where you shove people's face in the dirt. Like, so back then they used to have fucking what's it in Rome called the Colosseum. The losers got killed.
It started.
You didn't have to commit
started on
suicide.
Greece. It
You didn't even
started on
have to
Greece.
commit suicide.
It started
You were
with Spartans.
killed. That was a sport.
It started with Spartans. You had to be, as soon as you were born, you had to be certain measurements, no defects on your body, because otherwise it would scar you. It's not good. And as you can, they developed this. The Athens developed the Olympic Games, so they can fight with one another without actually killing each other. They were like, oh, Sparta's gonna fight Athens gonna fight Olympians, and on and on and on. That's how the Olympic Games were created. So they can.
But the question is, do we want to go back to a society where those are the values? Because I don't know if life during ancient Rome or ancient Sparta was necessarily the best.
But as tall as a tree grows, it's still rooted in the fucking dirt. It's like we're talking about the Olympics, which is fucking rooted in the dirt. Like that's what it is. It's a fucking animalistic thing where you say, I can jump further than you. I can run further than you. I can run faster than you. I can swim further than you. I can swim faster than you. I'm fucking better than you are.
Yeah, but not every event in the Olympics is like that. I mean, some
No,
of the events,
now-
like
yeah,
some of the
but-
gymnastic events are, I can twirl a ribbon more flourishy than you.
Exactly, and that's the direction that it's going now. And some people are really, really, really interested.
They have to understand that not everybody can win. Not everybody can be on first place. And you also have to understand the side of the athlete as well. An athlete can only be an athlete from the age of 20 until the age of 30. That's your peak. That's your moment. You have
That's
two-
delayed a little bit more lately.
yeah, lately. But
Well,
at least you have.
Depends on the event. Gymnastics, it's like early teens.
Yeah, which
exactly.
is just wild. I don't like watching that. These like little girls jumping around with
15,
bikinis.
14,
Yeah, it's not cool. Man. It's not cool.
I think it's a pretty reductive claim to make that anybody that makes it to the Olympics thinks that they can only win. Everybody that's made it to the Olympics has lost a lot. Nobody bats 1,000. So they're aware that that's what's going to happen, is that more often than not, they're not going to win. They're just going because they're going against everybody else that is practically equally as skilled as them. People like Michael Phelps that go in and win every single event are outliers to the extreme.
Yeah. He's definitely he topped my PR for swimming, so it's a close call.
Yeah. So don't just make it sound like these people go into the Olympics thinking that they're going to win and just get utterly destroyed when they don't medal or they don't place or whatever.
I'm not the one saying that. The article is saying that people are killing themselves.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit more. You're all hot and bothered because you wrote an opinion piece about a documentary that's in and of itself an opinion piece, and you're forming your opinion off of that. So this is
but there was
tertiary
not much
level
of an
opinion
opinion.
forming.
There wasn't much of an opinion formed. I don't know what it was for. It's
Okay,
like if somebody
so you're
shot
not mad at the
flare,
documentary. You're
somebody
mad at the
shot a
shitty
flare.
article that you read.
I didn't read it. I listened to it.
Oh, so that's even worse.
Then I listened to it intently the second time. I
Yeah?
took my phone
Well, maybe-
in the shower with me. I took my phone in the shower with me so I could listen to it a second time. It's really important to me. And I
Okay.
listen hard, man. I listen really
So maybe
hard.
you should either watch
Yeah, you
Agree?
should watch the documentary.
Pull the article up and sound it out and read it to yourself.
The kind of Facebook person that just reads a headline and was like, "Oh, that is true. Aliens came and attacked New York,"
First off,
or Trump is saying this, or Obama gave this, whatever, without actually clicking and actually doing the research and actually.
I listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, but you didn't watch
Right,
it.
you listen to somebody else's
and I'm
opinion.
talking about it from the perspective of not somebody who's watched the whole thing. I said it's frustrating for me what they talked about. They didn't go deep into it. They didn't say you should watch it. It just happened to be excerpts from the thing. So now I'm going to watch it, and we'll, I'll bring up my
No, I SipTalk on Saturday.
my opinion after watching this thing, and
I thought that you actually watched it, and that's why you were like, "Oh,
no, they talked about this thing about people killing themselves, and I didn't know where they were going with it. I think you have to. I mean, on a mental health thing, I think I watch a lot of real estate agents try real estate, and they have their site set really, really high. We get a new real estate agent in the room, so this may hit home with her. But agents have their sites, but actually not so much because I know she works really hard. But I watch agents that come in, they think they're going to make 6 figures in their first year. And then they're leaving at 5 o'clock and like treating this job like it's like, they work at the fucking Apple store and putting in a few hours, expecting to get some perks, but not realizing that they're a business owner. They got to fucking own it and work hard. But I watch so many people exit 2 months in and, they either bow out and they're done with real estate, thinking that they gave it a real shot, or they go to another company, they wait, 2 months there, realize it's not working there either, and then they bail out and realize it was themselves. And, we lost an agent this morning. We had a lease signing that I went with him to earlier in the week, and we had a long talk. We were in the car for about 2 hours just on the way up. We were early, so we drove around in circles for a while. And then the ride back down was about an hour. But we talked a lot about real estate. And then 2 years later, he told me he didn't want to do this anymore. So I'm not going to name
Well, what's wrong with that? Job's not for everybody.
Well, he went to another company to do something that he could have done here. It's just the other company is located closer to his house. But, it's either an 18-minute commute or a 9-minute commute. Like, it's not a huge difference. But I was telling him what the issues with his work were, and if he continues to work the same way at the other company, he won't find success. It has nothing to do with the company. Very, very capable guy. And
Well, that's his problem, isn't it?
it is his problem, but I really thought he could have been better. And also, like, he just kind of started getting going after coronavirus. So he's been doing this for a month since the office reopened. And then to think it's not working out is, to me, really frustrating. It would be like if I hadn't been to the gym in 5 months, the gym opens back up. I go to the gym for 3.5 weeks and go, fuck, I'm not an Olympic bodybuilder. Or I don't do bodybuilding. But I'm gonna go to a different gym.
And I'm gonna get it right there.
But that's how it felt to me. That's a really good similar circumstance. Like I go back to New York Sports Club, and in 3 or 4 weeks I don't have a fucking 6-pack.
I'm gonna go to Equinox.
Yeah, and I got volleyballs in my shoulder, so now I'm gonna go to Equinox. I'm gonna go to fucking Blink. And I deal with that a lot. And I know of one agent who left who found a lot of success. Not just this company, but other companies I've worked at. And I know a lot of people in the business, so when people move around, and it's usually they're moving because they're not successful, but they're not unsuccessful because of where they are. The Equinox is going to have the same weight.
Yeah, 20 pounds on Planet Fitness is the same 20 pounds that you're going to find in Equinox in New York Sports Club.
Planet Fitness, their 20 pounds might really be like 17.5, just to make people feel better.
20 pounds to me, baby. 20 pounds to me.
I don't know. That's my 2 cents. What is going on down in the south outside of this tropical storm coming?
Not much has really changed down here. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do about reopening schools, which I just think is I can understand two perspectives. If you're a parent, you just get out of the house. But from any reasonable perspective, it sounds like it's a really dumb idea to just let schools reopen with minimal restrictions. Sure, there'll be like some more spraying and cleaning and stuff, but like
I'm really so undecided and uninformed on this issue, and so removed from the issue, and it doesn't affect me. I'm not a teacher. I don't have kids, and I don't have compelling arguments for one side of this or the other side. But like I feel like kids not going to school. If I had 2 kids, and I work, I'm at the office at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm here most nights till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And now the kids don't have a place to go during the day, and I'm supposed to pay for childcare for the full day until 10 o'clock at night. Push my kid out the door, and obviously that's an added expense for me. And then I'm not making as much money at work, or I'm trying, or my work was closed, and I was able to watch the kids, and now work is starting back up, but with a reduced schedule or with reduced earnings. Like, really difficult situation to be in, and I don't think the state, local, or federal governments are doing really anything to alleviate that situation. I feel like everything that we've seen happen from the state, local, and federal has been really, really shitty.
Yeah, we never had one of these pandemics happening in like recent times. The last one we had it was like on the 1920s, and we thought that okay, we have a great health system and we can take over everything. And so far, we were able to do that. Up until globalization and all these things happened, where like one single virus literally put us every single country, like the most powerful countries, on hold. I think the GDP for every single country is gonna contract 9.5%, at least in the U.S. I know that it's gonna contract.
so well, our annualized is last quarter annualized contraction is 33%.
Annualized. Yeah. So, and I don't think this quarter is going to be that much better. It's definitely going to be better, but it's not going to be that much better. But here's what I was thinking is going to start happening. I think we're going to start seeing more regularity in pandemics. Because think about it. You had H1N1. You had, give me some other names of some of these pandemics they had.
Swine flu, SARS.
Yeah, like these are, now, I think the current administration has a lot to do with how this is played out. I think it's played out really, really badly because of the current administration. I feel like anybody else, it would have been kind of not like breaking news every minute of every day on every news channel. But I do think that we're going to see some more regularity and a lot more attention paid to, because just think, if we have an H1N1 or SARS, people are going to instantly be comparing it to coronavirus.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a coronavirus to compare it to before. You had H1N1 to compare it to SARS.
2008, but it was controlled. And
Yeah.
It just happened between the States and Mexico, and that was it. It didn't become like this huge pandemic. And people used to travel as much as they travel
I think we're just going to see a lot more regularity in it, and I think people wearing masks and people just not wanting to touch people. Like, the weirdest thing for me now is I meet new people every day is the handshake thing. It's like you don't want to not extend a hand. But again, what was the handshake originally? It was, I'm not hiding a weapon. Here's my hand. That's
What I've been doing with clients in Charleston is we've been doing the elbow bump.
Yeah,
that's what we
fuck
do
that.
here.
I'm sorry. That's the stupidest shit I ever saw. I like it. I like it as opposed to nothing. But I'm sorry, if the new norm is going to be fucking tap elbows, get the fuck out of here.
What would you suggest as an alternative?
Nothing. This is weird.
Do you wanna go
This
the
is
Japanese
weird.
way? Do you wanna
Or
go the
nothing.
Japanese way and go like,
Or the handshake. Or not. Or the handshake. So it's nothing or the handshake. And
we kind of adopt the Japanese way of being like, hey.
yeah, bowing. Come on. Yeah. Well, we were getting really Asian with the face masks. So here we are. People used to. I never made fun of anybody who was. I was always my understanding that an Asian person wearing a mask was sick, and they were protecting other people.
Yeah.
They weren't a fucking germaphobe. They were just a polite person.
Yeah.
So now we just assume we're all sick and we have to wear them, and nobody's making fun of Asian people. Well, some people are. That's really fucked up.
But they were probably making fun of Asian people beforehand too. So like,
they were probably making fun of everybody who wasn't fat with a bandana around their fucking head. So, but now everybody's got bandanas around their mouth. Oh, fucking A. Any comments that we should pay attention to?
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Zero comments.
Terrific.
It's like, please don't record me. I'm not here.
Yeah, man. But
you know what I'll tell you is a big deal in the South right now, actually,
Is what?
which we don't have an answer for. But whether or not college football is actually going to happen in the fall, that
matters.
for anybody who hasn't been down to the South, it's really hard to explain how important it is to people who live in the South.
Dude, I like. Did we even know anything about like high school football is big in the South? So
No, college, like you got high school football, pro football, and then like
college
football
in the South, exactly. Which I like. It's a different place, man. Oysters.
It's really hard to explain to someone who hasn't been exposed to it. When I was a substitute teacher, one of my first weeks being a sub, I'd only been in South Carolina for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Didn't understand the culture all that well. Still don't. But I'm teaching.
You did say y'all on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's just a matter of convenience. That's the one thing that I've picked up from the South, and I'm gonna have to give it to them. It's taking 2 words and making it one. It's faster. Anyways, I'm teaching this class, and it's probably 5th or 6th grade. I don't even remember what subject. Let's just call it art. And so I've got all the kids doing their task or whatever, and then one of the students asked me and says, "Mr. Boswell, are you a Gamecock fan or a Clemson fan?" I'm just like, "What?" And that's the University of South Carolina or Clemson University, the 2 biggest universities in South Carolina, and they have a big rivalry, and they kind of trade back and forth in terms of who's better. For the last couple of years, it's been Clemson, but the point is that you have to pick a side in this state, and for me, it's just very weird because, like, I can understand people being a fan of the school that they attended. If you went to a certain school, I can understand you being a fan.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But there's a lot of people down here that never went to either one of these schools, might not have gone to any school whatsoever, but are diehard fans of one or the other. And for me to have a 10 or 11-year-old kid asking me which team I'm a fan of, I'm like, dude, I'm from the North. Like, unless I've got a gambling interest in either one of them, I don't really care.
Dude.
Nah, I didn't say that to the kids, but I'm sure actually in the South, I'm sure it would have been fine.
God. I don't know.
But yeah, if they can't get things under control down here, then if you want to get the South behind some kind of pattern of behavior, threaten to take away their college football, and you'll see some change.
But what is that going to accelerate? You know, like how?
Well, if you've got 80,000 people all within a foot and a half of each other for 4.5 hours, plus the fact that if the team's training or whatever, if one person on a team gets sick, it's so easy for it to spread to everybody else. But between the close quarters training to the locker rooms to being locked in a bus for 4 hours as they drive somewhere, or being on an airplane, the team airplane, traveling to wherever their next game is.
So what do we do? Do we just
I mean, that's what we're talking about right now to the baseball league.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, look at the Marlins.
I think it got canceled, if I'm not correct.
So,
Because
but
everything-
what's the best solution? We just wait it out for.
yeah, there's nothing else. to do.
I just think half-assing all this shit is like, I couldn't imagine being a professional athlete and having to perform, having to compete in an empty arena or an empty stadium. I mean, that's worse than coming in fourth place in the Olympics. Sorry.
Well, yeah, and the athletes don't like it because it's a TV product, but there's such a difference in terms of energy in a game when you have fans there cheering and producing all that noise versus just the echoes of a ball bouncing in a gym.
Yeah, that's weird. They've been putting the crowds on speakers and playing crowd noise by speaker to the people playing the games.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Of course, it's not the same. Like they should just transition to fucking video games.
Esports have really taken off in the last 6 months.
Well, I think they got a ways to go, right?
There's an ETF. Where is it? Esports ETF. So there's an exchange traded fund that samples a whole bunch of different companies, public companies that trade primarily in either video games or video game products or the esports industry in general. And in the last 3 months, they're up 36%. Year over year, they're up 67%.
Wow, that's impressive. It's impressive.
So yeah, esports are definitely up and coming.
especially with
But in regards to your question of what do we do? Do we just call this a lost year?
But I
Well-
think we should instead of this bullshit. I think And
Well,
maybe-
right. That's the thing is if we had not half-assed it from February and just said, okay, we're locking down hard and we're locking down until not the cases go down to some level that we think's okay and we're in a rush to reopen. We lock down to the cases go down to damn near zero. Look
But
at
how do
South
you-
Korea. Look
How
at
do you
New
play?
Zealand.
How does baseball play when you got when 3 MLB teams are left uninfected? Like, everybody else is quarantined for 2 weeks. How does that even
Well,
work?
we're gonna find out. It might end up being a failed experiment,
I-
and you might see something similar happen in either the NBA or the MLS or the NFL when they get back going. Who knows?
How am I going to explain this to grandkids? Like what? Hey, Grandpa, back in 2020, the great pandemic of 2020 with coronavirus, that must have been really bad, right? Well, I was mostly broke. I went to work a lot, drank a lot of Corona in the beginning. Like,
Well, I think you really say, well, Timmy, it all started back when we elected a reality TV star as the president.
yeah, was he really the reality TV star? He was, I know it was his show, but really, the stars of the
If it was his
yeah.
show, then that by definition makes him the reality TV star.
Yeah, but like the Panic Island, or I don't know, where the people are naked. What's the one show where like everybody's voted off the island? Survivor. Yeah, but we call the guy, at the end with the tiki torches. Would we call it like his show?
No, but
Name the
the
star?
thing is, it's named Survivor, not The Apprentice with Donald Trump.
Yeah, with Donald Trump. Survivor with the guy in a tank top. Like that's what it is.
Right. So
With-
right,
with
exactly. So there's a
Survivor.
big
It's not even
difference here.
It's not even about the person who it's with. Like it's about the other people.
Right, but the Apprentice was all about who it was with, who was on the show. It's like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or any of those crappy shows. Like I hate to say this, but they're reality TV stars. Why? Because their name's on the show. So yes, I think describing Donald Trump as a reality TV star is completely accurate.
All right. Well, my pre-made drink is empty, so I'm gonna wrap up.
Negronis all around.
That was like a lot in here. It doesn't seem like that much, but I guess if you pour Negroni over ice, it's probably 2 of them. It's not bad. I think I'm a bit over the Negroni though. I bought a liter bottle of
Jane.
vermouth, a liter bottle of gin, a liter bottle of Campari, and I love Negronis, but I don't know how many more of these I can do.
Too much Amaro.
What's that?
Too much Amaro.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna watch this documentary tonight, and I'll get back to you on once I fleshed out my own opinion on what's going on here. In the meantime,
Have you seen Never Leaving Neverland or Leaving Neverland?
No.
Have you seen that?
I'm sure James hasn't either.
James.
Nope, I don't care about Michael Jackson at all. When he died, I was actually kind of happy because I'm like, finally, we can put this saga to rest.
Never mind that.
So yeah, I'm gonna watch some of this video. I will get back to you once I fleshed out my opinion, and gonna listen to some Michael Jackson. Right. All right, James.
All right, fine.
I'll catch up with you later. I'll let you know about this thing, and watch out for that storm.
Yeah, and I may or may not be able to join you on Tuesday. It depends on if we get hit or not. Because if we get hit, I usually lose power.
Well, it's those willow trees. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, but I'm probably gonna go to the beach once the waves get big. So I might not join you either if I just get swept out to sea.
Well, that can happen. That can happen.
I'm kind of hoping for it, given the way this year's been going.
Well, I'd say if you train hard enough, you could place second or third. So
Just don't
Yeah.
Slide, please.
that would be the greatest.
Yeah, are they gonna make a documentary about me?
Well, we could get the we
We
get
can
Rosh,
SipTalk at
we
least.
get Rosh, down to South Carolina. That's he spent a lot of years there, so we get Rosh down there. He's made some good videos. I think you got a good shot at that, and we could make a really big deal out of it. It could be tragic.
I think I could improve my odds by killing a whole bunch of people first. That way, it just kind of adds some intrigue to the story.
Yeah. All right. I'll catch up with you later then. Tell anybody. I do. Adios.
All right.
Hey, you made it this far again. Thank you for that. Please, this is a new podcast, episode 24. Obviously, as you can see, we need all the love we can get. So if you don't mind, please like this video, throw in a comment just for the hell of it. I don't care what you say. And just hopefully it's nice. And subscribe because we really, really need the subscriptions. All right, that's it. I'm out. See ya.